Shapoorji Pallonji is an 153-year young, not old, engineering and construction conglomerate. We have a dream to engineer a better planet. We have a dream for Africa to engineer a super Africa. At Shapoorji, our dream for Africa was born a good 13 years ago.
Yes,
At
Anna?
Shapoorji, we believe that Africa and India were born of the same seed.
Oh.
We believe that we have a lot in common and that we can develop these two continents to the mutual benefit of each other. Today, I can proudly say that we are in over 20 different countries in Africa. Our objective at Shapoorji is to enjoy customer trust and to deliver iconic projects on time. We are and have been an international organization for 48 years. In order to focus our vision on certain areas, we would like to have strategic growth in Africa in the following areas: solar and storage, large-scale convention centers, mass housing, large marine projects, large infrastructure and connectivity projects, large oil and gas projects. Like to come to Africa to enrich the social culture, the social fabric of the entire continent. We would like to come to Africa to enrich ourselves with the culture of the various different African countries. We plan at Shapoorji, we envision at Shapoorji. Our focus at Shapoorji is to be in Africa for another 100 years. We would love to make investments in Africa and see Africa grow and grow together with Africa.
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are a $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. Is about delivering excellence across business sectors. future-ready nation. Our today has a strong foundation with community at its core. Our today is dedicated to the communities we serve. Our today is always about more than just today. Our today is a continuous journey for a better tomorrow. Tata, leadership with trust.
Shapoorji Palanji is an 153-year young, not old, engineering and construction conglomerate. We have a dream to engineer a better planet. We have a dream for Africa to engineer a super Africa. At Shapoorji, our dream for Africa was born a good 13 years ago. At Shapoorji, we believe that Africa and India were born of the same seed. We believe that we have a lot in common and that we can develop these two continents to the mutual benefit of each other. Today, I can proudly say that we are in over 20 different countries in Africa. Our objective at Shapoorji is to enjoy customer trust and to deliver iconic projects on time. We are and have been an international organization for 48 years. In order to focus our vision on certain areas, we would like to have a strategic growth in Africa in the following areas: solar and storage, large-scale convention centers, mass housing, large marine projects, large infrastructure and connectivity projects, large oil and gas projects. At Shapoorji, we endeavor to touch the lives of people in a beneficial manner in whichsoever country or geography that we put our foot into. We would like to come to Africa to enrich the social culture, the social fabric of the entire continent. We would like to come to Africa to enrich ourselves with the culture of the various different African countries. We plan at Shapoorji, we envision at Shapoorji, our focus at Shapoorji is to be in Africa for another 100 years. We would love to make investments in Africa and see Africa grow and grow together with Africa. The Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are a $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. It's about delivering excellence across business sectors.
On desktop, no? And PDF, I have taken a subscription to PDF. But I think I don't know the password, I'm not sure. I could hear me there.
Quickly. How much time will it take? 1 minute.
May I request our speakers for this session to please put on their videos, please. Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Excellencies, I welcome all of you to the 16th CII Exim Bank Conclave on India and Africa Project Partnership. The theme for today, Harnessing the Africa-India Opportunity, Connect, Create, Collaborate. To begin with the inaugural session, I'd like to invite Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, Confederation of Indian Industry, to give his welcome and introductory remarks. Mr. Banerjee, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, His Excellency, Mr. Slumber Sogwen, the Vice President of the Republic of Botswana, His Excellency, General Dr. C.G.D.N. Chwenga, the Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Mr. Alan Sheramaten, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Republic of Ghana, Mr. Noel Tata, Mr. T.V. Narendran, the President of CII, Madam Harsha Bangari, the Deputy Managing Director of the Exim Bank of India, the partner of this conclave, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon from India and a good morning to all of our friends in Africa. A very, very warm welcome to everyone who has joined us for this very important 16th CII Exim Bank Conclave on Africa-India Partnership, which is called the Project Partnership. For these 3 days, starting today, we are joined today by very senior officials, ministers from the governments, from various business organizations, business leaders, management experts, bankers, entrepreneurs from 2 geographically expansive regions. Our combined population, as we know, is 2.5 billion people, making up nearly a third of the world's population. And our combined GDP also adds up to an impressive $6 trillion US. We are indeed honored by the presence of His Excellency, Mr. Sogwein of Botswana. He has a phenomenal experience in developmental issues, particularly at the grassroots. His insights will be extremely valuable for us today as we move up, as we really look forward to listening from you. Your Excellency, Dr. Chiwenga, joins us from Zimbabwe, being responsible for the healthcare in his country. He also has very deep knowledge about how India and Africa can cooperate in the sector, which is really the need of the hour today. Honorable Mr. Sheramaten represents trade and industry of Ghana, and he has a personal equation with India and has been keen to drive the economic agenda of the 2 countries. Excellencies, we are privileged that you have been able to join us today, and we look forward to your inputs, your advice, and your take on this very important Africa-India relationship. We are also indeed very, very grateful to Honorable Minister Dr. Jaishankar for his leadership, for his support, for his guidance, and for his patronage of this very important conclave, which we all know is taking place at a time when the world is at crossroads. And our Honorable Minister Jaishankar is one from whom one draws inspiration and gets a lot of directions in terms of how, from the business in India, we are able to actually work with the rest of the world. India and Africa are 2 very important and vibrant and dynamic economic entities, and our partnership across the Indian Ocean is but quite natural. Our proximate geostrategic location bordering the Indian Ocean on 2 sides, demographic advantages, complementary natural resource profile, and the convergence of the development agendas really reinforce our historical ties. And today, as COVID pandemic has impacted all economies, India and Africa really can leverage this strong foundation and very, very much a benefit from the emerging opportunities that we see today. And this particular CII Exim Bank India Africa, which is a digital conclave on India-Africa project partnership, over the years added very, very important and valuable inputs on the roadmap for this particular issue that I have just raised. And the next mode of partnership for India and Africa will really come from diverse sources. And we need to explore a wider canvas of our engagement in the wake of the current healthcare crisis. And over today, as I mentioned, and the 2 days, tomorrow and day after, decision makers, as we see them on the screen, and thought leaders from both our geographies, India and Africa, will be actively engaged in deliberations on key dimensions of our partnership. I'm delighted to inform also to this very august group and august gathering that we have 33 ministerial delegations from 17 African countries participating in this forum today. And we have around 3,500 delegates, out of which almost half are from 45 African countries. And we also have delegates from 21 countries outside of Africa. So in this India-Africa conclave, we have 21 other countries also participating. And over the 3 days, we shall have more than 100 speakers who would share their perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, since 2005, this conclave has engaged close to about 8,000 plus delegates from 45 African countries and about another 8,000 delegates from India. And over the years, a large number of memorandums of understanding, the MOUs, have been signed at the 15 editions of the conclave, and somewhere around 4,400 plus, or almost near 4,500, have been discussed and closed during this, but during these days every year. What I find to be truly remarkable about this particular conclave is that while the deliberations are patterned to further cross-border business and project partnerships, increasingly the joint initiatives that stem from this conclave have significant importance for the world as a whole. Hence, there will be very little surprise when the deliberations at this conclave and the key outcomes reverberate in the discussions and negotiations in different global forums. And I'm sure that this particular edition will surpass many more milestones in terms of cooperation, endeavors, and business partnerships. I really want to once again welcome each one of you, and really wanted to also mention that your participation, Excellencies, makes this particular relationship of our businesses also very, very meaningful. And we really look forward to these days every year. And once again, thank you very much for this participation and for your time and giving to this relationship and to this conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banerjee. May I now invite Ms. Harsha Bangari, Deputy General Manager, India Exim Bank, to address us, please.
Thank you. Honorable Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, His Excellency Mr. Slumber Sogwane, Vice President, Republic of Botswana, His Excellency General Dr. Chiwenga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Childcare, Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Mr. Alan Kermaten, Minister of Trade and Industry, Republic of Ghana, Mr. T.V. Narendran, President CII and CEO and MD Tata Steel Limited, Mr. Noel Tata, Chairman, CII Africa Committee and Managing Director, Tata International Limited, Mr. S. Kupuswamy, Co-Chair, CII Africa Committee and Advisor, Shapoorji Pallonji Group, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, CII, delegates from different countries of Africa, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to all of you. India Exim Bank is proud to join hands with CII in hosting the 16th CII Exim Bank Virtual Conclave on India-Africa Project Partnership in association with the Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, which serves as an important platform for forging a business partnership between Africa and India. The annual conclave brings together dignitaries from both Africa and India onto a common platform wherein exchange of ideas take place, especially in the context of bilateral partnerships. A once-in-a-century pandemic, the COVID-19, is one of the most serious global health crises today, with huge long-term consequences and high socio-economic cost impacting both emerging market economies as well as the advanced economies. With the disruptions in economic activities across the world, the volume of global merchandise trade has shrunk by more than 5% in 2020. As regards Indian economy, the pandemic has impacted the growth trajectory of Indian economy, which contracted in FY 2020. Similarly, the pandemic has reversed Africa's growth, with the continent losing gains and economic growth that were achieved over the last decade. In addition to health factors, the pandemic has affected Africa through multiple channels like disruption in trade and value chains, reduced foreign financial flows in the form of lower FDI, remittance, and capital flight and tourism revenues. On the other hand, the pandemic has caused a surge in government financing needs in Africa, with the countries requiring an additional $154 billion in 2021 to respond to the crisis. India's strong economic engagements with Africa is evident from the fact that India is currently the second largest export destination, as well as the source for African imports. As regards investments, currently Indian investments in Africa accounts for roughly 1/5 of India's cumulative outward investments. Indian investments are present both in greenfield and brownfield, spanning sectors such as pharmaceuticals and healthcare, energy, ICT, power, roads, railways, and automobiles, amongst others. As a development partner, India is ideally placed to understand and appreciate the needs of Africa in multiple developmental areas. Moreover, India's relationship with Africa has advanced to being consultative and responsive in nature. Africa has always been a focus region for India Exim Bank and thus a critical component of its strategy to promote and support two-way trade and investment. Our commitment towards building relationships with the region is reflected in the various activities and programs which India Exim Bank has set in place, including our Government of India supported lines of credit, project exports, buyer's credit under NEIA and other products. These programs have strengthened India's developmental partnership with Africa, not only directly but also indirectly in terms of having a social impact in the region. In line with India's dictum with that development cooperation is mutually beneficial, the LOC commitments to Africa have risen significantly over the years. Africa today accounts for over 39% of Government of India supported LOCs. Projects supported under the LOCs focus on development of infrastructure, industrialization, power generation and transmission, agricultural development and agro-processing. Though India is a key trading partner for Africa, the continent still has unfulfilled demand for Indian goods and services. The pandemic has further called for increasing need for cooperation in vital sectors like agriculture and agro-processing, renewable energy, healthcare and pharmaceuticals to ensure sustainable growth and resilient supply chains across the continent. In this context, I would like to mention that we will be releasing one of our publications today, India Africa Healthcare Prospects and Opportunities, which analyzes the present status of healthcare in Africa, along with the existing healthcare infrastructure and expenditure levels and highlighting the scope for further cooperation between India and Africa in the healthcare sector. The study suggests setting up a $100 million fund for financing building of 5 tertiary hospitals with a capacity of 100 beds each across the 5 regions in Africa. To conclude, the pandemic has demonstrated the need for building economic resilience and sustain future global shocks. India remains an ideal partner for Africa in its effort to build a more robust and resilient Africa, as also sharing its vision for inclusive growth and sustainable development. This virtual conclave, which spreads over 3 days, will serve a platform for further deliberations and brainstorming towards these directions to take forward the India-Africa partnership to new heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bangari. May I now invite Mr. Noel Tata, Chairman CII Africa Committee and Managing Director Tata International Limited, to address us, please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 16th CII Africa Conclave. We are pleased to welcome Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Government of India, Excellencies and dignitaries from African countries who have joined us today at this inaugural session of the CII Africa Conclave to share their views on the India-Africa partnership. It is my honor and pleasure to discuss some important economic issues that matter to the 2.5 billion Africans and Indians, especially given the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on livelihoods of our citizens. According to IMF data, Sub-Saharan Africa recorded an impressive GDP growth of 4.9% versus 2.8% for the world for nearly 2 decades until 2019. Africa's growth has been powered by global demand for commodities and helped by close links to global trade and finance, better public and private sector economic management, technological breakthroughs, and advancements in welfare and education. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has slowed down this secular growth trend, both in Africa and in India, highlighting some areas that merit greater intervention, such as manufacturing, infrastructure financing, farm sector modernization, service sector growth, and healthcare, to name a few. These sectors, by nature, also improve the quality of life for our citizens. Today, as the people on the African continent fight the battle against COVID-19, Africa also faces some unfortunate consequences due to the shortage of vaccines and essential drugs needed to fight this pandemic. The Indian industry could endeavor to partner with governments or their counterpart business organizations in Africa to improve the availability of vaccines and drugs, whilst building robust healthcare infrastructure, including pharma manufacturing. This could be an important topic of discussion in this conclave's agenda. The CII Africa Committee has closely followed the trajectory of the services sector in African countries. It is our continuous endeavor to build new cross-border partnerships whenever an opportunity arises. As Africa looks within to rediscover the growth path, galvanizing the domestic services sector would serve as another major growth catalyst to enhance livelihoods. This subject also forms an important part of our agenda this year. We have scheduled exclusive sessions on services sector under the theme Serve Africa. We have also organized exclusive sessions on healthcare, IT and IT services, tourism and hospitality. A special session on global health and vaccine potential has been curated to discuss the vaccine access, equity, and the future of lowering vaccine access inequity. I am extremely hopeful that these deliberations will yield great business engagements and generate employment opportunities. Over the last 2 decades, CII has also steered initiatives directed at building and reinforcing institutional partnerships with African nations that contribute to the region's economic growth and future potential. We must continue to focus on identifying new cross-border partnership opportunities that are future-proof and directed at the welfare of 2.5 billion plus living in India and Africa. Over the last 2 years, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, also referred to as AfCFTA, has been signed by 54 of the 55 African countries. This will have a significant positive cascading impact on our bilateral relations and industrial economic partnerships. It is being cited that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement would also help in the establishment of India-Africa value chains in areas such as textiles, pharmaceuticals, automotive, agro-processing, and information and communication technology. I'm privileged to mention here that the CII has been playing a catalytic role in championing the cause and will continue to do so. I would like to also call upon representatives of industry and government from Africa to translate the intent expressed by AfCFTA into on-ground implementation to facilitate free trade. This could transform the scope of our partnership by offering companies the economies of scale that would allow them to offer consumers across Africa much better value. CII began its Africa-focused initiatives more than 27 years ago and is now linked with more than 95 counterpart organizations in 44 African countries to facilitate exchange of information between Indian and African industry. CII has also forged deep ties with investment promotion agencies in Africa. For all our efforts, I must also thank the Indian industry, which has helped sponsor CII's activities in Africa with steadfast commitment. I would like to especially acknowledge the strong role played by Exim Bank of India in partnering with the CII in organizing this platform year after year. Their long partnership with CII is symbolic of the commitment of Exim Bank of India to catalyze development partnership in Africa and other parts of the world. The CII Africa Committee also recognizes the support of the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry in organizing this annual conclave. The support has helped the platform evolve into an indispensable forum for building cross-border partnerships at the government, institutional, and enterprise levels. Keeping in view the growth trajectory of Indian and African economies, and the huge untapped potential for building multidimensional India-Africa partnerships, I believe the conclave gives us a great opportunity to find and cement new partnerships, opportunities across businesses and governments to help boost livelihoods and create stronger people-to-people interactions. I'd like to wish every one of you great success in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tata. May I now invite Mr. T. Narendran, President, Confederation of Indian Industry, to kindly address us, please.
Thank you, Renuka. Dr. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, Government of India. His Excellency Mr. Slumber Sowane, the Vice President, Republic of Botswana. His Excellency General Dr. C.G. D.N. Chuenga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Childcare, Republic of Zimbabwe. Honorable Alan Chairmatten, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Republic of Ghana. Mr. Noel Tata, Chair, CII Africa Committee and Managing Director, Tata International. Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, the Director General, Confederation of Indian Industry. Ms. Harsha Bangari, the Deputy Managing Director, Exim Bank of India. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to all of you. It's an honor that the eminent dignitaries from across Africa are participating in this conclave with the intent to connect, collaborate, and create. The partnerships across the two shores of the Indian Ocean that have been shaped over the last 15 editions of the conclave truly exemplify the tenets of cooperation in letter and in spirit. The global south, where India and Africa are major players, commands an increasingly assertive voice in contemporary international affairs based on their robust growth journeys. The COVID-19 pandemic has heightened the imperative for emerging and developing economies of India and Africa to reinforce economic growth and build stronger partnerships. India is dealing with the aftermath of the second wave, and Africa too is seeing a rise in cases. It is time for us to join forces to ensure our economy surmount this crisis. The two sides have developed a strong and growing partnership over the last few decades, and that is founded on mutual respect and shared aspirations for development and progress. After COVID-induced contractions, India is expected to witness a robust growth over this year of around 9%, and understand Africa is also expected to clock a GDP growth rate of around 3%. The governments of the two sides have expanded the economic engagement beyond trade to include areas such as healthcare, education, and IT. Through its lines of credit of about $13 billion, India has a significant footprint in infrastructure projects in Africa, including in power, telecom, and transport. Indian companies are majorly invested in nations across the continent in sectors such as automotives, pharma, FMCG, and so on. Their deep and enduring engagement in Africa has been a hallmark of developmental partnerships based on mutual understanding and sustainable growth. Indian industry's roadmap to strengthen cooperation between India and Africa is founded on the excellent growth prospects of both sides, large markets, synergies, and complementarities in trade, and a vast potential for investments. Let me highlight a few thoughts for further expanding this partnership. Firstly, with 54 of 55 African countries entering the agreement for the African Continental Free Trade Area, as Noel mentioned, intra-Africa trade is expected to see quantum growth. This growth will hinge on accelerated development of regional transit infrastructure for efficient movement of goods across national boundaries. Indian industry could play a key role in the in-transit infrastructure development through public-private partnership projects. Secondly, as the CFTA, or the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, comes into effect, trade facilitation would be an important goal for both countries, touching on aspects such as border processes, harmonization, and removing non-tariff barriers. India could play a role in technical assistance and capacity building in Africa to implement the trade facilitation measures. Thirdly, as intra-Africa trade growth will pave the way for manufacturing growth, which calls for massive investments. However, the current geographical spread of major Indian companies is limited only to a few African countries, with over 60% being confined to Eastern African region. For Indian companies to play a greater role in Africa's manufacturing renaissance, innovative financing of business and joint financing of projects through PPP will be important. Fourthly, India's development cooperation initiatives can also create more opportunities for Indian companies in Africa. Better targeting of development projects in sectors and countries which are of interest to Indian business will foster trade and investment linkages between India and Africa. And finally, in this fast-changing world, India and Africa must redouble their joint efforts to strengthen the food security, energy security, and health security of people in both our regions. This may be achieved by attracting a greater number of Indian companies to explore business and investment opportunities in Africa in these areas. Through the India-Africa Conclave, CII has been driving greater cooperation and engagement between Indian industry and African governments and businesses. We are satisfied with the results achieved and look forward with excitement to our new and further collaborations. I would like to extend my thanks to the Ministry of External Affairs and Exim Bank for the strong partnership in these series. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the India-Africa partnership is at an inflection point. Let us forge new partnerships and join hands for a friendship across the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Narendran. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will now have the release of the Exim Bank report, India-Africa Healthcare Prospects and Opportunities. India and Africa's development cooperation is a testimony to South-South cooperation. Healthcare has always remained an important pillar of India's development cooperation with Africa. The study analyzes the present status of healthcare in Africa and suggests strategies for enhancing India's investments in Africa in healthcare infrastructure, healthcare facilities, and training and capacity building. The publication is now available for download on India Exim Bank website and the CII Hive. The India Exim Bank study on India-Africa healthcare prospects and opportunities will now be released through a short video in your presence. Can we have the video, please? And now for our next speaker, we have for us our first guest of honor, His Excellency Mr. Alan Cherimathen, to give his special address. He is the Minister of Trade and Industry, Republic of Ghana. Can we have your address, sir? I think he had checked in, but I think there's a connectivity issue. We'll move on to the next speaker and then come back to him. May I request our next guest of honor, His Excellency General Dr. CGDN Chiwenga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, Republic of Zimbabwe. They had joined, so I'm just a little.
The Honorable Vice President is joining, I think. Just one sec. We are in touch with his office.
I see.
Can you please enable sharing of screen?
Yes. Okay.
Please enable us to share the screen.
Pushpinder, can you please help him with that?
Done.
Yes, please go ahead, sir. Excellent. We can't hear you. I think you have to unmute yourself.
African states here represented, honorable members of the Director of Ceremonies, honorable ministers of African states here represented, honorable members of the Indian government, senior government officials, the chairman of the Confederation of Indian Industries, Mr. Noel Tata, Exim Bank officials, other financial institutions and investment agencies, business leaders, invited dignitaries, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and good afternoon to you all. I am honored with the privilege to participate and address this 16th edition of the Confederation of Indian Industry Exim Bank Conclave on India-Africa Project Partnership. This is a tremendous summit bringing together key stakeholders from the African continent, the Indian government and industry on one platform. The event seeks to expand and deepen long-standing trade cooperation between our countries and India. The development will help us realize our common visions and aspirations of enhancing the quality of our health care systems. It is common cause that India is one of the world's largest manufacturing countries, which gained international acclaim as the world's famous. Over the years, Africa has benefited immensely from supply of pharmaceutical and traditional medicines from India, including exchange of specialized medical treatment and expertise. Almost 20% of India's pharmaceutical products valued at United States dollars 17 billion are exported to Africa. Indeed, India, with its state-of-the-art medical facilities, offering services at competitive prices, has emerged as an attractive destination for medical tourism. The country has also offered telemedicine services to the African continent, an arrangement which connects Indian hospitals with their counterparts in Africa. Thus, this conclave has proven to be a convenient one-stop shop that caters for the interests of our people, business, and political stakeholders. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, this session, whose focus is on setting the new milestones for India-Africa partnership, provides a unique platform to deliberate on innovative ways of buttressing Africa's healthcare system. It is pertinent to note that Africa's population of 1.3 billion is projected to double by year 2050. The population increase beckons the continent to expand and modernize its healthcare architecture to guarantee health security to member states. The 16th edition of the conclave comes amidst the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The impact of the pandemic has left most of the globe and indeed Africa's healthcare systems overstretched. The vulnerability is a real challenge to the provision of public health to our citizens. It is worth to note that Africa is yet to produce its own COVID-19 vaccines or any other vaccine. The scenario is causing a physical strain to member states who must import from foreign pharmaceutical companies. Therefore, Africa must emulate India and grow such capacity for sustainable well-being of its present and future generations. With such support from India and other countries, Africa should revitalize its healthcare system. This warrants for continued collaboration with India to accelerate capacity building. The continent should set up its own specialized hospitals and pharmaceutical plants and conduct research to develop homegrown medicines from indigenous flora and fauna. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the demand for COVID-19 vaccines continues to rise. This increase should be met with well-planned and sustainable response systems. The viewpoint underscores the need to set up pharmaceutical industries in Africa. The Republic of Zimbabwe is making humble strides towards the rejuvenation and establishment of its own pharmaceutical industries. In the long run, such initiatives will abolish over-reliance on foreign players. A modern state should not mortgage its health security to external players because health security has a bearing on the national security of individual states. Let me hasten to urge the pharmaceutical industry to prioritize manufacturing of medicines to manage the growth of non-communicable diseases. Unlike infectious diseases, non-communicable diseases constitute a terrain that most humanitarian organizations are yet to venture into. I encourage fellow African countries to invest in research and development of medicines to manage the growing threat posed by diseases such as cancer, hypertension, and diabetes mellitus, among others. Patients suffering from non-communicable diseases lose a fortune in their endeavor to acquire medicines whose cost is usually high. To conclude my remarks, let me reaffirm that it is imperative for African governments to prioritize and spur the development of public health infrastructure in our individual states. Lastly, the cooperation between Africa and India will be of mutual benefit for both of us as it provides opportunities for investment, infrastructure development, and cross-fertilization of knowledge, skills, and competencies. I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I think Republic of Ghana has joined. So may I invite our next guest of honor for today, His Excellency, Mr. Alan Cheremathen, Minister of Trade and Industry, Republic of Ghana, to please address us.
Thank you very much, Madam.
Yes,
the Vice President of the Republic of Botswana, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Honorable Minister for External Affairs of India, the Minister for Railways, Commerce and Industry of India, the Chairman of the Confederation of Indian Industry and Managing Director, Tata International Limited, the Deputy Managing Director of Indian Exim Bank, Honorable Ministers from Africa, very distinguished captains of industry from Africa and India, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you warm fraternal greetings from His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, who regrettably is unable to join us on this important event due to a pre-arranged national assignment. He has asked me to participate in this inaugural session on his behalf and wishes the conclave very successful deliberations. Distinguished guests, this year's conclave is taking place at a time when the world is battling with what is arguably one of the greatest existential threats in recent global history, which is the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has devastated the economies of virtually all countries around the world, rich or poor, small or big. This imposes a major challenge for all countries to identify new strategic approaches to reboot their economies in the post-COVID era. In this regard, it is important for India and Africa to forge a new strategic partnership working together collaboratively to support each other as we both pull ourselves out of the devastating impact of the pandemic. This imposes a responsibility on those of us who are participating in this 16th CII Exim Bank Conclave to define the structure and content of this new strategic partnership. It will require greater focus on a few critical areas of interventions than has otherwise been the case in previous conclaves. India does not need any introduction to Africa. Neither does Africa need any introduction to India. Africa and India have a long history of political, economic relations based on mutual respect, shared values, and common interests on many global issues. It is this strong foundation that provides the basis for the post-COVID strategic partnership that I'm referring to. The 4 areas of focus, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that I would like us to concentrate on are: first, industrialization; second, science, technology, and innovation; third, SME development; and fourth, harnessing the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Let me first start with industrialization. It is not by chance that the most powerful economies in the world also happen to be the most industrialized countries in the world. The paradox of Africa being the richest continent and yet the poorer and yet the poorest is explained by the fact that Africa has not been able to industrialize and add value to its natural resources. Can we imagine the combined strength of South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Morocco, Egypt, Ghana, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Cote d'Ivoire, and indeed all the 55 countries in Africa, if all of us have set ourselves along the path of industrialization? So the message is very clear that the key for Africa in the post-COVID era to secure the future of Africa is industrialization. Secondly, the COVID pandemic has affected many areas of our lives, but I'm sure you all agree with me that the impact on industry and businesses in general is probably the most significant. It is estimated that it will take a minimum of 5 years for industry and businesses in general in Africa to return to pre-COVID capacity levels. Thirdly, there is little doubt that the most critical development challenge confronting Africa is that of unemployment, particularly for a continent that has one of the youngest populations in the world. Every year, over 20 million young people graduate from our tertiary institutions and second cycle schools and enter into the job market. Public sector employment is clearly not the solution, It is only through private sector investments in the productive sectors of the economy, particularly in industry and agriculture, that we can reduce unemployment. Therefore, what Africa needs in this post-COVID era is for India to support Africa to accelerate its efforts at industrialization. The second area of focus is science, technology, and innovation. India is a global leader in STI, and I do not need to make a case for STI in terms of what India can do for Africa. The third area of focus that I referred to, which I think it's important, is SME development. Africa's enterprise landscape is dominated by small and medium enterprises, and in many cases, micro enterprises. Again, if there's one country in the world where micro, small, and medium enterprises have provided a stimulus for economic development, the answer is clear, it is India. So this strategic partnership that I'm referring to must also focus on supporting Africa in developing its micro, small, and medium enterprises. And last but not the least is working together with India to harness the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Again, the opportunities offered by the African Continental Free Trade Area cannot be overstated. And it is clear that with the AFCFTA, investors from India who locate their production facilities in any part of Africa can now reach the entire continent duty-free, quota-free. So there can be no more powerful stimulus for attracting investments from India than the market access opportunity that the AFCFTA offers. And I wish to add in this regard that it's not just about goods moving from one African country to the other. Interestingly, under the AFCFTA, we've also negotiated a protocol on trade in services. And there are 5 priority sectors that have already been negotiated as part of this first phase, which is communications, transport, financial services, tourism, and professional services. So it does mean that apart from Indian investors that locate manufacturing plants anywhere in Africa, those Indian entrepreneurs that are involved in any of these 5 service sectors can also now be able to reach the entire continent in any of these 5 sectors in a very smooth and constructive way. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased. We've always been part of this conclave, and I'm pleased that we have the opportunity once again to join. I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. And our next guest of honor for today, His Excellency Mr. Slumber Sogwen, Vice President, Republic of Botswana, will now give us his special address, please. You have to unmute yourself here.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
My video seems not to be showing there. Can I continue?
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Excellencies here present, our host, the Honorable Minister of External Affairs of the Republic of India, Dr. S. Janshankar, Honorable Castanino Chiwengi, the Vice President, His Honor the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry of the Republic of India, Goyal, honorable ministers of India and African countries here present, President of the Confederation of Indian Industry, Chairperson of the Exim Bank of India, Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, representatives of international organizations, distinguished guests, a very good afternoon or morning. Rather, it's morning on our side. It is my distinct honor to address this inaugural session of the 16th Confederation of Indian Industry Exim Bank Conclave. I'm happy to convey best wishes from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Botswana, Dr. Mokgweetsi Eric Kabetsi Masisi, for a successful 16th session of the India-Africa Conclave. At the outset, allow me, Madam Chairperson, to thank the government and the people of the Republic of India for inviting us to this important platform to engage on Africa-India relations under the theme Setting New Milestones for India-Africa Partnership. The theme is extremely relevant to the times, as there is a pressing need to adjust and reset the partnership between Africa and India in line with contemporary economic and social priorities of our countries. The setting of new milestones would thus well position our enduring partnership to respond decisively to new opportunities and challenges, particularly in the context of COVID-19 global pandemic. We are meeting at a very difficult time of widespread human suffering and economic uncertainty. We are also heartened to acknowledge that at the peak of the pandemic, India, despite its own challenges, donated life-saving COVID-19 vaccines to Botswana and other developing countries, both in Africa and Asia. I believe we can all agree that this is a demonstration of India's consistency and unwavering commitment to the well-being of Africa. It is also not a new phenomenon, as India has historically supported Africa, including during the liberation struggle and on different issues at the United Nations and other global fora. Botswana once again extends great appreciation to the government and the people of India for their generosity and spirit of solidarity by leading the way in ensuring that Africa is not left behind in accessing vaccines. The COVID-19 pandemic has amplified the need for Africa to build a capacity to develop pharmaceutical industries in order to deal with existing tropical diseases and the pandemics now and in future. As a leading producer of pharmaceutical drugs, India is well positioned to assist Africa in this regard. I wish thus to invite manufacturers of vaccines and medicines, some of whom are present in this forum, to set up production facilities in our region. And I strongly suggest Botswana in this regard. This would guarantee supply of medicines, transfer of technologies, and establishment of partnerships in research and development. Furthermore, Botswana provides a strategic location as a manufacturing base for the Southern African market, as well as the wider African market through the African Continental Free Trade Area. Distinguished guests, the coming into effect of the African Free Trade Area is timely and set to open up vast opportunities for intra-Africa trade and investment. In this regard, India's well-established private sector, which already has a foothold in global markets, could play a supportive role to develop or to the development of Africa's productive capacity. This would assist the continent to realize the benefits of trade liberalization and market integration. Given its long and successful association with Africa, we encourage India's Exim Bank to continue to look into innovative modalities to facilitate the development of industries and financial services. There is also need for partnerships in social and physical infrastructure projects, which will further position Africa to improve interconnectivity and develop its capacity to trade and invest globally. Distinguished guests, Botswana and India have a long history of relations underpinned by shared democratic values. Cooperation between Botswana and India is very strong in sectors such as education, health, agriculture, ICT, trade and investment, diamond beneficiation, and capacity building in general. More detail on the health and agriculture cooperation will be discussed by ministers of Botswana, who will be participating in the thematic sessions of the forum. Botswana remains committed to leveraging on these partnerships to support economic growth and an inclusive economy. We consider ourselves fortunate to be endowed with a vibrant population of young, educated, and trainable men and women. These young people are assets and have great potential to work in partnership with Indian enterprises across a broad spectrum of areas. This annual Confederation of Indian Industry Exim India Africa Project Partnership Conclave thus provide an important platform for discussing and achieving these partnerships, or rather these new partnerships. Chairperson, at this juncture, I should also share with this forum that Botswana has set herself a very ambitious agenda of becoming a high-income economy by the year 2036. We also want our economy to be based on knowledge as key component and driver of our trade and development. In this regard, Botswana invites Indian enterprises, research institutions, science and technology firms to consider institutionalized and practical cooperation towards assisting us realize this agenda. Botswana offers unmatched political and economic stability environment for doing business. The sizable presence of Indian-owned companies and Indian diaspora in Botswana is evident enough that we are a truly welcoming nation with a conducive environment for business. Members of the Confederation of Indian Industry are thus welcome to explore business partnerships, including through our Botswana Investment and Trade Center and Business Botswana. Botswana has established dedicated special economic zones to inject growth in our industrial base. The sectors designed for high growth are investment in mining and in particular diamond beneficiation, financial services, food processing, ICT and electronics, health and pharmaceuticals, logistics, aircraft maintenance, repair and operation, tourism, to name but a few. Our intention is to diversify the economy and participate in the global supply chains. India is well suited as a partner in this regard due to her success in globalizing her products and services. Our hope is that the high-level interactions between Africa and India will also continue to give impetus to the trade and investment agenda. I recall that I had the pleasure to host the Vice President of India, Naidu, in November 2018, where we reached a consensus on the need to intensify trade partnerships. The Vice President was accompanied by a large trade delegation, which also participated at the Botswana Global Expo. Madam Chairperson, such interactions and expos by our two sides must continue, albeit through virtual platforms. Botswana continues to seek investment in the energy sector and intends to take advantage of the high solar irradiance to generate energy for both domestic use and export to the region. In this regard, I'm happy to note that Botswana has signed and ratified the framework agreement on the establishment of International Solar Alliance. The ESA is a very commendable initiative spearheaded by India with a view to encourage global cooperation towards greater harnessing of solar energy and technologies. Botswana looks forward to the partnerships and expertise of the Indian companies in setting up solar plants for energy generation and investment in related industries, which will help us fulfill our suitable energy goals and address climate change. Distinguished guests, as I conclude, let me state that whereas these are extraordinary times, with the world's attention focused on COVID-19, we draw inspiration from the fact that important forums such as this 16th Confederation of Indian Industry Exim Bank Conclave remain engaged on repositioning to the partnerships between Africa and India to tackle post-COVID recovery. We are more than ever before optimistic that there is sufficient political will on both sides for attainment of mutually beneficial outcomes from this India-Africa project partnership conclave. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to once again take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the government of the Republic of India and the Confederation of Indian organizers for the opportunity availed to Botswana to address this important forum. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, we now have the keynote address by our chief guest, Dr. S. Jaishankar, Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Government of India.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Please accept my warm greetings on the occasion of the 16th CII Exim Bank Conclave on India and Africa Project Partnership. The theme, Harnessing the Africa-India Opportunity, Connect, Create, and Collaborate, speaks for itself. Over the last 15 editions, this conclave has helped build bridges and strengthen economic and commercial engagement. It has created capacities, encouraged networking, and widened horizons. The results of that are visible in India's growing presence in Africa, as much as in Africa's deeper collaboration with Indian institutions and companies. As we seek to come out of the COVID pandemic, this partnership assumes an even greater salience. India's approach to development partnership with Africa is guided by the Kampala principles enunciated by Prime Minister Modi in 2018. Our activities and initiatives are designed to respond to the needs of Africa and the priorities of its people. It envisages co-capabilities and co-benefits while promoting local ownership. As a result, we see a unique level of trust that is even more valuable as we contemplate the challenges ahead. In a post-COVID scenario, there are 4 domains that should become the focus of our collaborative activities. 1, public health. 2, digital delivery. 3, skilling and capacity building. And 4, the green economy. There is no doubt that in Africa, as in other parts of the world, the COVID pandemic has created a new awareness and demand on the public health side. Inequity in access to medicines and vaccines has further highlighted problems. On its part, India envisages health cooperation as reflecting our global South solidarity. Prime Minister Modi's call for One Earth, One Health approach underlines our continuing commitment, already evident, the supply of medicines and vaccines to many nations of Africa. The COVID era has also seen a visible shift to greater digital dependence. Our goal must be to use these new tools and practices for better delivery on the ground. As part of our commitment to data for development, we support digital platforms and e-governance efforts in a range of domains. Already, India launched the e-Vidya Bharati and e-Arogya Bharati network in 2019 on tele-education and telemedicine. 17 African countries have joined the project so far. Our initiative, She Goes Digital, has been particularly well received. The ability to offer education, skills and training through the digital medium vastly expands the numbers who are being covered earlier under the ITech and ICCR scholarships. These investments in human capital are a statement of India's expectations of Africa and our belief in building a truly collaborative and mutually beneficial partnership. India is also committed to supporting Africa's energy transition through rapid deployment of clean energy technologies. African nations have shown great interest in the International Solar Alliance. Whether it is in power, water, or agriculture, a closer collaboration can help build Africa greener. Indeed, the full potential of our green technologies and practices should be more aggressively exploited in the days to come. India has a long history in defense and security cooperation with Africa that is today being updated to meet more contemporary challenges. Our involvement in HADR operations has been notable, such as during Cyclone IDI in Mozambique. We are open to expanding cooperation in maritime safety and security, given the increase in non-traditional threats faced by many African littoral states. The stronger commitment to Africa since 2014 is evident in the outcomes and implementation of the IAFS 3 targets. This is facilitated on the ground by a larger diplomatic presence, notably 18 new embassies in Africa. Our support for Africa in the current situation is also highlighted by our support for the G20 Debt Service Suspension Initiative. India has always maintained that the progress of the world is contingent on the development of the global south. Nowhere is that more evident than in Africa. And that is why we attach the utmost priority to the India-Africa partnership. I thank CII and Exim Bank as collaborators in this important endeavor, and I wish this conclave all success. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Mr. S. Kuppuswamy, Co-Chair CII Africa Committee and Advisor Group Finance and Special Projects, Shapurji Palanji Group, to give his closing remarks, please.
Thank you very much. I'm audible?
Yes, please.
Okay. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen from Africa and India. Well begun, they say, is half well done. And what a great beginning we had to the 16th CII Exim CII Conclave on Africa-India Project Partnership. May I acknowledge the support over the years extended by India Exim Bank in developing this conclave over the last 15 editions. The conclave over the years has scaled greater and greater heights, and today is marked every year as a defining moment in the start of yet another era of partnership in projects and business between India and Africa. On behalf of CII and my own personal behalf, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, for their critical leadership role and guidance in organizing this conclave. Many thanks to Honorable Mr. Dr. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, the Government of India, for his great thought leadership, which has helped us define the thrust areas of the conclave. His emphasis on One Earth, One Health, and digitization in e-governance are all thoughts that have gone into making Indian-African relationships much more refined for the future. CII is extremely grateful to Excellency General Retired Dr. Shivanga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, Republic of Zimbabwe. No stranger to India. He has been here before. Excellency Slambert Sogwane, Vice President of the Republic of Botswana, and my friend, His Excellency Honorable Mr. Alan Chamatin, Minister of Trade and Industry, Republic of Ghana, for their valuable addresses at this inaugural session. Each of you, Honorable Sirs, has brought in points of relevance to this conclave, especially how healthcare is going to be one sector where greater collaboration between India and Africa is most called for in the post-pandemic era. Excellency, Mr. Sogwane, thank you very much for recalling fondly India's role in African countries' independence. The discussions that are taking place today would definitely set the platform for the deliberations over the next 2 days. We from CII look forward to the active participation of every delegate across the sessions that we are organizing in this conclave. I particularly invite your attention to new areas like digitalization and healthcare collaboration, where we expect that there'll be greater participation from both Indian and African delegates. Wishing everyone the very best for the conclave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kuppuswamy. Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we come to the conclusion of the inaugural session of the 16th CIM Exim Bank Conclave on India and Africa Project Partnership. Thank you very much for joining us. Our sessions will continue over the next 3 days. And we have the next session on at 4 p.m. IST on designing innovative financing solutions for doing business in Africa. Hope to see you there too. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good evening.
Thank you.